So a week ago, I did something that felt like a very good idea in my head, but turned out to be one of the most stressful projects I've ever filmed for this channel. I'm making a wedding guest outfit using a lace curtain fabric. Before you ask me, I haven't lost the plot, but well, maybe a little bit, because this fabric came with very specific problems that I did not think through, and I don't know if I'll be able to pull it off. So let me take you on a journey. Right, so here's what I was going for: a halter neck top paired with a handkerchief skirt. And that sounds pretty simple on paper. And I think if I was using a normal fabric, that would have been pretty straightforward. But I wasn't using a normal fabric. I was using this lacy curtain fabric, which meant the whole challenge was to try keeping this flowery lacy detail while making sure I wasn't flashing everyone in the wedding. And I spent pretty much this whole project trying to, walk between the fine line of elegant top versus why can I see everything. So I started with the top, and instead of drafting a pattern from the scratch, I hacked an existing dress pattern to get the shape I wanted, which normally saves me time. Except I completely forgot that I'd already altered the pattern to be much longer for a different project. So my first draft came out nothing looking like a top I imagined, a lot more like a slab of fabric. But I could see the shape, so I made notes directly on the fabric, how short I wanted it, and where I wanted the ties to sit at the back. Somewhere in the middle of this, I'd seen an overlocker foot doing the rounds on TikTok, promising beautifully neat edges. So obviously I bought one to try. Honest verdict, I don't think it made much of a difference on this fabric compared to the normal foot I already use. Might just be this fabric, so I might have to try it out again on something else. After that, it was hemming the edges and making what felt like an endless number of ties for the neck and the back. Which brings me to my second AliExpress purchase, a loop turner. Genuinely, such a simple tool, and it's pretty self-explanatory, but I will say some of the ties turned through like an absolute dream, and others fought me the entire way. Still, even with the difficult ones, it was much better than the safety pin method I've suffered through before. I also made way more ties than I needed. I think I needed about 3, and I made like 5 or 6. So here's now where it gets properly tricky. I had to figure out how to cover those more intimate areas and more see-through areas without making it look tacky. The first idea was layering a different colored fabric. Tried it, hated it, didn't look like anything what I pictured in my head. So I went back to basics and used small scraps of the curtain fabric itself, building up multiple layers instead. My original plan was to hand sew all of this, but I caved and used the machine instead. And honestly, unless you look very closely, it looks completely seamless. That's what I think anyway. So the top is more or less done, and next is the skirt. And this is my first time trying to make a handkerchief skirt. Turns out I built this up in my head to be way more complicated than it really needed to be. My main worry was the length, because the curtain fabric is much more of a rectangle than a square. So I wasn't sure it'd give me enough drape, but it actually worked out fine in the end. For anyone who wants the actual process, I measured and cut about 50 by 60 inches of fabric, then had the joyful task of unpicking the seams to remove the header tape from the top of the curtain. Then I folded the fabric in half and in half again. On the corner that had no raw edges, I marked out a quarter circle using my waist measurements divided by 2 pi. Though I added another 3 or 4 inches on top of my actual waist, so it would gather nicely and give room for an elastic waistband. I repeated the whole process again, so I ended up with I ended up with 2 rectangles, pieces of fabric, each with a hole cut in the center. Then I layer the two together, lining up the holes with the longer points of each rectangle crossing over each other. That's what gives you the handkerchief points all the way around. I sewed the two layers together right at the edge of that center hole. For the waistband, I used scrap cotton fabric, the width just over double the elastic and the length matching the circumference of the center hole. Fed the elastic through, and just like that, the skirt was done. When I tried the whole outfit together, I realized that the sides on the top does bunch up a little bit. I think the side panels probably needed to be a touch wider. Not the end of the world, and I'm too lazy to fix it now. Because this was for a wedding, I initially planned to dye this whole thing green and make a matching bag also to go with the outfit. And I actually already made the bag with this gorgeous pink fabric and a green trim at the end. And if you want to see how I made this, I've already got a video over on my channel of a similar bag. This bag took about an hour and a half to make. It probably would have taken shorter if I didn't start at 11 p.m. So I bought this dye sachet to color the top and the skirt with, but when I looked at it properly, it says it's not suitable for 100% polyester or synthetics. And I'm pretty sure that this fabric is 100% polyester or some sort of synthetic. I bought this in cardboard sale, so I don't have a label, but just with the feel of it, like I can tell it's not cotton or anything. And when I looked into dyeing synthetic fabric, I realized it's a completely, different dye altogether, but just the whole process itself is a lot more complicated. You need a massive pot, a stove that ideally you want to use outside, tongs, and another massive bucket so that you can rinse off the color at the end. And one of those 12-liter stove pots, or even like 5-6 liter of pot, cost quite a lot of money, so I want to buy it secondhand, and I haven't had any luck. So here's where I've landed. There's going to be 2 parts to this project because I still need to figure out if I can dye the top and the skirt with the green that I originally planned, which also means that I'm not going to be able to wear this on the wedding, which is absolutely gutting because I spent quite a bit of time and I had this vision, but I don't know, maybe it becomes a holiday outfit. But anyways, if you want to see whether I'll figure out this whole dye situation or it becomes this extremely elaborated outfit that I wear at home, then make sure you're subscribed because there's going to be part 2 soon. I'll see you next time. Bye.